This is Preach with TGN.TV and we are YouTube. Hello! What is going on, guys? My ballers, my number one friends and pals, it's Preacher time, and today we're looking at the Unholy DK. You guys have been spamming me requests for this ever since the live web show. As you can tell, I'm still ill. I'm still very, very ill, but whatever. You know, we've got patch 4.3 tomorrow. If that's not a reason to kill an illness, I don't know what is. I will crush it with the big bro fist. That's right. So if my voice sounds a little bit ropey, tough luck, guys. Unfortunately, it's either that or no video. You decide. I know which one you're going to pick. Oh yeah, Unholy DK. We don't really play Unholy these days. Why is that? Because Firelord, Preach as I like to be known as. Simply because Unholy is just behind Frost in terms of utility and overall damage. So, but still, Unholy is my favourite spec. It really is, of my Death Knight. This is my main character. I don't get to play much, as you guys know. He's got an item level of 390. Pretty high. Pretty high item level, and I wish I could play Unholy more. I actually prefer it. I think it's a much more fun and interesting spec than Frost. Frost is very laid back, very relaxed, not much to worry about. Nothing to really manage as Frost. That's what I find. Managing as Unholy, there's a lot of things to manage, and I quite like that. A lot of fun. So, what are we doing? We're going to use your gear, we're going to do your reforging, we're going to do your stat priorities, we're going to do the spells you should be casting and your glyphs, okay guys? All the usual bump from me. Then I'm going to jump in Heroic on this ridiculously overgeared character and probably do some sort of stupid levels of DPS. But we'll see what happens, shall we? So, we've got our 4-piece Heroic gear here, so they tried to ignore the gear, guys. I tried to do these guides from the perspective of if you're a fresh player. Reforging and all that good stuff all manages the same no matter what gear level you have, okay? The reforging rules I'll tell you now go all the way from capping from level 85 all the way to the gear my guy's at now. What stats are we looking for primarily? Always strength. Look at my gear. This is how an endgame DK looks like. Strength, 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 hit, because I gain a strength bonus from my legs of more than 20 or 20 plus. Strength, 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 strength trinkets, strength, 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 strength hit, because I get a 20 strength bonus. Strength, 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 strength all the way around. You need strength, guys. You need to be strong like horse. Yes, you need to be the strongest man in the raid. Hooah! We love it, don't we? You need to be super strong on Unholy DK. Strength is so powerful, guys. I can't explain to you how powerful strength is. If I put it into words, if you had strength and something like haste next to each other, strength would be the big sledgehammer, haste would be a little lollipop. Strength is where it's all at. That's where your damage is coming from, is strength. So under all circumstances, we want to be gemming for that strength, guys. Get your strength up. Really get your strength up through your gemming. Only if you can get the same amount of strength with the set bonus as you would by gemming pure strength, like in my legs, then do you use any sort of mixed gem. That is the only time. Other than that, you're going for pure strength. What are our other stats, Preachy? Talk to me. Goes like this, guys. We want to get our hits up. Now, the good thing about Unholy is the stats are pretty similar to that of Frost. So if you want to try Unholy, you're not really going to reforge a hell of a lot. Literally, all I did was change 2 items. You are aiming for 8% hit. As you see, I have 7.45. That's because in my Frost gear, I have 8%. As Unholy, if you're going full-time Unholy, you want to have that 8% flat hit chance. I'm going to stick at 7.45. I'm not going to reforge my main. He's just tasty good. I like it. Expertise, you're looking for 26 expertise. As you can see, I have 23 on this guy. Again, in my Frost gear, I am expertise capped. But for our Unholy guide, if you're going full-time Unholy, if Unholy becomes the main spec of the DPS Death Knights, we're going to be going ahead and getting that 26 expertise. You guys want to be doing that too. If you want to play Unholy full-time in PvE, you need that 26 expertise, and you need to get your hits up to 8%, okay? Next comes haste. Haste is so powerful. Haste is really, really good. More haste just makes our life so much easier. It's easy, it's ticking faster. Brief interlude there because I was coughing my throat up. I'm really sorry. Okay, you're going for haste. Your worst stat when it comes to reforging, I always try to tell you what is your worst stat. Your worst stat by a long, long way is crit chance. Crit is by far the worst stat. Get rid of your crit chance, guys. Or reforge it at all possible opportunities. As you can see there, we had crit on there. We've reforged that to mastery. Mastery is your next most powerful stat. So it goes haste is your big powerful stat. Haste is your number one. Get as much haste as possible. Try and make sure every item you have has some haste on it. If you look at my items, Every item has haste. Either reforge to it or do something to get your haste on there. If it hasn't got haste, you're going to reforge towards haste. You need haste on every single item. It's so good. Next, you want to get some mastery, but make sure you're reforging off your crit for either of those stats, okay? Get hit, expertise, then haste, and then mastery. Get rid of your crit at all possible opportunity. Let's jump into some talents for Unholy DK. This is pretty much the standard build that I like to roll with in raids. I play this for Lord Rylith only because Unholy is so much fun there with all those ads, spreading those diseases via a pestilence. So much fun. We're going to go 3 out of 3 in Epidemic. Increase the duration of our Blood Plague and Frost Fever by 12 seconds. That's because we use a spell called Festering Strike, okay? We use Festering Strike. Our 2 main attacks are going to be Scourge Strike and Festering Strike. The trick to playing a really successful Unholy Death Knight, especially on single target DPS, is ensuring that your diseases last exactly as long as your outbreak cooldown. By that, that's hitting just enough Festering Strikes to make sure that your disease is just about run out or are about to run out when your outbreak is back off cooldown for 1 minute, okay guys? That is the trick you're trying to aim for. Epidemic will make that much easier for you. Virulence, increase the damage done by your diseases. Our diseases matter in Unholy, okay? Our diseases really start to do a lot of damage, especially when we start pestilencing them around and spreading them. Really good, so buff your disease damage. Morbidity, increase the damage and healing of your Death Coil by 15% and the Death and Decay by 30%. Death Coil is obviously our nice filler spell now. Get rid of Rune Strike, get rid of Frost Strike and Rune Strike. We use Death Coil as an Unholy DK. Also, this talent now makes Death and Decay worth casting on single targets that are going to stay in it for long enough. Death and Decay on its own, ticking on one target, will do more damage than a Scourge Strike, which costs the same amount. I want you to think about that for more advanced plays to try and weave in Death and Decay even while you're attacking a boss. Desecration, we have to put 1 point somewhere. Desecration can be annoying for the tanks, it slows targets. Now it can't be used on bosses anymore, which is fantastic because that used to be a real pain in the ass for the tanks. Especially for the graphics under mobs in raids, Desecration has a rather large graphic to it. The other choice is Resilient Infection. We're never going to really get dispelled in PV, so it's a total waste of a point. On Unholy Command, we're rarely death gripping as a DPS. That's a total waste of a point again. 1 out of 2 in Desecration is really the only place that point is worth doing something. It's going to add some value instead of nothing. Runic Corruption. Reduce the cost of your Death Coil by 6, yum yum, and causes your Runic Empowerment ability to no longer refresh a depleted rune. Think about that. Runic Empowerment used to just prop up a rune that was done cooldown. Now, instead, increase the regeneration of your runes by 100% for 3 seconds. This is so powerful, guys. This is why Unholy is awesome, and why in Mists of Pandaria, all the DKs are saying in the advanced discussions that if we can choose Runic Corruption, then there is no argument because it's so much better. It's completely reliable. It just generates and fast churns out runes for you. So much better for DPS than waiting for random chances of runes to proc. Brilliant talent. Our first major DPS cooldown, Unholy Frenzy, induces a frenzy unit into killing. Induces a friendly target into a killing frenzy for 30 seconds, so they go crazy. The target is enraged. When you increases their melee and ranged haste by 20%, but causes them to lose health equal to 2% of their maximum health every 3 seconds. In general, guys, we want to be casting Unholy Frenzy at the same time that we cast our Gargoyle. However, if we are Bloodlusted, that would be a waste. We don't get the benefit to our other attacks, okay? So think about this. If we're Bloodlusted, you're not going to want to be using Unholy Frenzy. You want to save your Unholy Frenzy till after Bloodlust and things like that, so you can then Unholy Frenzy. But we definitely want, if we're not Bloodlusted, we want to be using Unholy Frenzy at the same time as our Gargoyle. We can macro those together. Contagion, increase the damage of your diseases spread via pestilence by 100%. So our spread diseases start doing tons of damage. This is where the damage really gets funky in AoE. Shadow Infusion. Now, it's only right that I spend a little couple of minutes talking about Timmy. Who is Timmy? This is Timmy, or Life Limb Rumbler, as he's been called today. Timmy is our ghoul pet, who we have out 100% of the time. We are a pet class as an Unholy DK, as much as we might not like it. We are a pet class. What does that mean? It means that Timmy does a ridiculous amount of damage. Yes, he does. He does crazy amounts of damage. Without our pet, our damage is nothing. It is generally nothing. We need our Timmy out. Shadow Infusion grants the successful Death Coils a 100% chance to empower your active ghoul, increasing its damage dealt by 6% for 30 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This is important, guys, and I need you to pay attention now because this is where a lot of your damage is going to come from. The trick, along with maintaining your diseases while on Unholy DK, is making sure that Timmy, as we'll call him today, our ghoul, is always, and I mean always, Dark Transformed or at highest possible stacks of Shadow Infusion. Okay, stacks up to 5 times. Now we can't possibly, as soon as Dark Transformation, I'll talk about in a sec what Dark Transformation is, as soon as Dark Transformation ends, get back to 5 stacks unless you're incredibly lucky with 3 Death Coils. What we're aiming to do is to stack our runic power. This is why it is important that you have a mod that tracks Timmy's power. Let me see if I can generate some stuff for you so I can get Timmy infused. Let's do a bit of cheesing. Cheese. See, 2 stacks of Shadow Infusion. We want Timmy to be up to a maximum 5 stacks very, very quickly. Let's get another Death Coil off. There goes Timmy. Go, Timmy. Be big. There he is. Look at Timmy. There he is. Now, while he's in that form for 30 seconds. You can see a Dark Transformation in 30 seconds. While we're still DPSing, we are being very careful to make sure that our runic power towards the end of its life is nearly full. So when you get to there, you've still got a good 10 seconds left. You can fire off a Death Coil. That's fine. No problem with that at all. What we're looking for is to make sure as soon as it runs out, without losing too much damage, that we can just fire off Timmy straight up. Look, now watch the stacks. 2, 3, straight away. That is what you're aiming to do, guys. You're aiming to get back to Timmy as soon as humanly possible. Boom. A few seconds of downtime. That's all you should ever have with Timmy. Try and time it that way. Watch how long Dark Transformation lasts and fill your runic bar. Don't overcap it because that's wasted energy. If you're near the top, fire off a Death Coil, but keep DPSing until that's about to run out and then fire off as many Death Coils as humanly possible and get Timmy stacked up again. He's very powerful. Dark Transformation, as we just talked about a lot, consumes the 5 charges of a Shadow Infusion on your ghoul to transform it into a powerful undead monstrosity. The ghoul's abilities are empowered and take on new functions while the transformation is active. It makes him into an ultimate badass. Yes, please. Rage of Rivendare. Increase the damage of your Plague Strike, Scourge Strike by a flat 45%. Fine, nothing wrong with that. You have a couple of extra points. Now, I always recommend you put them into Magic Suppression. Increase the spell damage absorption of your anti-magic shell by an additional 16%. Can't argue with that. That's just nice extra damage mitigation. And increases the runic power generated while damage is absorbed by your anti-magic shell. Anti-Magic Shell as an Unholy DK is now a DPS cooldown. If you know there's some magic damage coming, empty your runic bar, empty your rune power, fire off as many Death Coils as possible to empty. Then fire off your AMS when you're about to get hit by a magical spell and watch your runic bar completely fill. You will get so much extra damage if you start timing your Anti-Magic Shell properly via this talent. Really good. Unholy Blight. Cause your victims of your Death Coil to be surrounded by a vile swarm of unholy insects, taking 10% of the damage done by the Death Coil over 10 seconds, and preventing any diseases of the victim being dispelled. Unholy Blight is not as good as anywhere near as good as it used to be. Unholy Blight is actually very, very poor damage these days. Really poor. It's better than anything else you can put it in to get some damage, but don't be relying on Unholy Blight to do great amounts of damage. It won't. Improved Unholy Presence. Grants you an additional 5% haste while in Holy Presence. Hey-oh! In addition, while in Blood Presence or Frost Presence, who cares? We're in Unholy Presence. Even Plaguebringer. This is our big raid debuff. Your Plague Strike, Icy Touch, Chains of Ice, Outbreak abilities cause the target to be infected by the Eben Plague. This increases damage taken from your diseases by 30%. 30% buff to diseases. Yeah! And all magic damage taken by an additional 8%. Even Plaguebringer and spreading our diseases is one of the greatest ways in the game at the moment of making sure everything. I think Jinx is just about as good from the Affliction Warlocks or Destruction. But to spread that magical debuff to all mobs very quickly, it's brilliant. So good. A lot of raids are taking Unholy DKs, especially in 10-man, to make sure that magic debuff is on everything all the time. Because even Plaguebringer is so good, and an Unholy DK is going to want to be diseasing all the time. Sudden Doom. Your main hand auto attacks have a chance to higher than rank 2 to make your next Death Coil cost no runic power. Okay, makes sense. Flat buff to buff our 3 Death Coils. Great. And our final ability, our Summon Gargoyle. A Gargoyle flies into the area and bombards the target with nature damage, modified by the Deathknight's attack power. Persists for 30 seconds. Gargoyle is tricky. I want you to understand how Gargoyle works. Anybody who tells you different is lying. This is how Gargoyle works. When you summon your Gargoyle, he takes what they like to call a snapshot of your stats at that time. And your Gargoyle will keep those stats for that time. Okay, it's not just attack power, he's also modified by haste and all other good jazz like that. About to cough, prepare for some silence. Okay, so your gargoyle is going to take a picture of what your stats look like at the time he's summoned. What does that tell you in your mind instantly? You need as many buffs as you can possibly get on you at the time of summoning your gargoyle, okay? You also need to be aware that if you summon your gargoyle and you're stood too close to the mob, I'm not sure I'll be able to pull this off at a whim, because sometimes it just doesn't happen. Let me generate some runic power. Don't want to waste any on death coils. Come on. Oh, we go. Okay. Come on. Give me a blood sap. There we go. Summoning the gargoyle like that. Now let's look at him. What does he do? He's going to summon his gargoyle strike. That's fine. Sometimes on a boss, especially large bosses, your gargoyle will be summoned too close and he will actually melee. And that was a big DPS loss. So be aware that if you're fighting a very large raid boss or anything like that, when you summon your gargoyle, jump away for a second, summon him, jump straight back in. Okay, guys? Little tip for you there, just to make sure you get the full benefit of your gargoyle there, doing some big, big damage. Really is good. Look, 12k hits constantly, and he's just going to go for it. We like that, lad. That's your Unholy Tree. Runic Power Mastery, increase your maximum runic power by 10. That is the maximum extra runic power you need, just to make sure you're not going to overcap. Don't get more than that. Bladed Armour, increase your attack power by 6 for every 180 armour value you have. Yum, yum, yum. Butchery, whenever you kill an enemy that grants experience on you, you generate up to 20 runic power. We don't really do that anymore at capped. In addition, you generate 2 runic power per 5 seconds. It's not a great deal, but the other choice is Blade Barrier, and Blade Barrier is just not that useful for us in PvE compared to some extra DPS from Butchery. What we're actually after is improved Blood Sap. Sorry, coughed again. Reduce the cooldown of your Blood Sap by 30 seconds. Blood Sap is a very active ability for an Unholy DK. We need to be Blood Sapping all the time, just to make sure that our Blood Sap is on cooldown, getting those extra Scourge Strikes. That's what it's for, alright guys? Really useful, make note of it. Looking at our glyphs. Glyph of Raised Dead. Your ghoul receives an additional 40% of your strength and 40% of your stamina. You need it, because Timmy does tons of damage, and this glyph is going to just buff that through the roof. Get that stuff, guys. Glyph of Death Coil, increase the damage of Death Coil. Glyph of Scourge Strike, increase the shadow damage portion of your Scourge Strike. Crappy glyph, but it's still a nice damage buff. Glyph of Pestilence, to make sure that when we do Pestilence we hit everything. Glyph of AMS, I always like Glyph of AMS, because we do take a lot of damage in PvE, and AMS is so powerful, every other class wishes they had AMS. And Glyph of Blood Boil, we are going to start Blood Boiling, no more Howling Blast Spam, guys, we are Unholy, we are Blood Boiling, make sure our Blood Boils hit everything. And Glyph of Blood Sap, so because we're going to be Blood Sapping a lot, make sure your Blood Sap no longer damages you, okay. For our single target damage, we're going to be Outbreaking. Going to get Timmy on the case. We're going to Scourge Strike as much as possible. Scourge Strike is what it's all about, guys. Scourge Strike. Try and keep your Blood Strike on cooldown. And as soon as you pull, you're trying to get Timmy up to a lovely big level. There's Sudden Doom. Yeah. Get Timmy transformed. That's your priority. Get Timmy transformed as quick as humanly possible. Transform Timmy as soon as possible. Then you want to keep your diseases rolling really nicely, using your Festering Strike and then Scourge Striking in between. Really easy stuff. And then in between that, all you're doing is tracking. You're tracking Dark Transformation to make sure that as soon as Timmy runs out, he's good to go again. Okay? That's really it. And as you can see, I've got 19 seconds left on my diseases there, and only 13 seconds left on Outbreak. Very easy to do. Timmy runs out. Timmy spam, Timmy spam. There we go, up to 4 stacks already. It's only going to take us a couple of Scourge Strikes to get back up to 5. And then we're going to go ahead and transform him again. Very easy. That's Unholy, guys, and that's the best way to play it for you. I'm going to jump into Heroic now and show you all the good stuff.